Hello. This is me. I'm Cadarev. I will run Tomb Raider 2013, which is the first in the most recent reboot series. Luckily, I'm not by myself. On one hand, you can see I have my bunny cam enabled, which hopefully helps you go through the not so interesting parts of this run. And I also have a companion with me.
Who is not a bunny.
That's true. But it's you. Who are you?
Yes, I am Toxic and I still run Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is exactly like this game, apart from every single detail.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good point to make, yeah. So we'll start a new run on normal because don't question it. Timer starts after I skip the first cutscene. Don't worry, it's super quiet, but the game should be the normal volume. And by super quiet, I mean basically totally quiet. So yeah, run starts in 3, 2, 1, go. And we start with a nice, I don't even know how long, part of doing nothing, because cinematic and stuff, I guess. Yeah, so Toxic mentioned a different game called Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's also one of the reboot Tomb Raiders, together with this one and Rise of the Tomb Raider. They all run on the same engine, so there are quite a few overlapping glitches and tricks and skips, and there is also quite a bit of differences between them. Now the one that Toxic mentioned, aka Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the main difference is you can't skip cutscenes. And this one we can skip most of them. Which is good. Also close-up bunny, I guess. So yeah, in this game we start after our ship has kind of not made it to the intended destination. We start captured in a cave in somewhat of a predicament. And the best way to get out of this predicament is to basically set ourselves on fire. Because that's how problem solving works. Now, after Lara hopefully gets out of this and reaches the first checkpoint, I will immediately quit out to the main menu and reload that checkpoint. And during the loading screen, I will try to somewhat precisely input a forwards jump. And if things go well, you will see why they will go well, and if not, then I will try again.
Yeah, and it's really worth trying to do so, because otherwise we'll have to go through this first area normally and solve a puzzle at the end of it. But by going out of bounds here, we're basically given a chance to skip all of it and go back in bounds kind of in the middle, after which we can go back out of bounds again. However, this whole out of bounds area is pretty tricky. There are a few very difficult jumps where Lara can basically slide down and not give you enough time to jump, so you have to be very quick on your fingers.
Yeah, the main issue with this skip is you basically only save time if you make it to the very end. If I clip back inbounds earlier, then it's completely pointless. If I obviously drop into the void, then it's even more pointless. Because if you reload checkpoint, you're placed back inbounds at the very start of this. And that's not what we want, and this is the most difficult part. Okay, made it, that's good. That gives us the chance to actually complete this. Okay,
Nice.
This doesn't. It's actually also somewhat tricky to get up here. Okay, good. Can be pretty annoying. So now we just try to make our way around this final part. To the right is the big room that we are skipping now. Yeah, that's the one that would take quite a long time, but now that we skipped it, we don't have to worry about it. And that is intro skip in this game. Funnily enough, in every single one of these reboot Tomb Raiders, there is an intro skip where we like skip the first part of the game. especially so in Shadow, where we totally don't start from a save file because there is a 15-minute cutscene at the start.
It's the most consistent way to skip it, though.
Fair enough. And here is another out of bounds. This one is like only skipping a minor QTE, where Lara would get ambushed by a guy and has to free herself. And it only saves like 7 seconds or something, but it's still like easy to get, so that's nice. And now we just try to get out of this cave, and that would be Scavenger's Den, which is like kind of or is supposed to be your first tutorial area. As Toxic said, there would have been a few puzzles in here where you learn to like use the torch and set things on fire to make new paths and all that good stuff. Also, I think we might still get the QTE prompts there for a bit longer because they kind of lasted throughout the loading screen. I think that's always a nice indicator that things are going well. So yeah, now that we're at the Scavenger Den, we're somewhat trying to get to the next story point. So as you can tell, Lara is not in best shape, and she needs to now get to the other crew members that are shipwrecked alongside her. She wants to get a nice meal, and she needs a weapon. The weapon we will get, the meal we will kind of skip out of. Yeah, there you got the QTE prompts, and also don't mind Lara kind of running away from the camera. It will catch up now. Also don't mind the frame drops. So yeah, this is still kind of a tutorial area, I want to say. Like there are some very basic things you learn here. The QTE prompts should not be here, so I'm not actually mashing left and right, I'm holding forward. You cannot drop off this this tree trunk. We tried our best. You can't. So this is actually super misleading. A pretty common theme is reloading checkpoints. Not just in these games, but I think pretty common in most, or like speedruns, where it kind of places you further ahead or lets you skip smaller cutscenes. And now we make our way to this first climbing tutorial. Because obviously that's the only way across here. It's this very safe route.
And if I recall correctly, there are multiple ways of moving around during the run, but the fastest one is with the scramble jump, right?
That is correct, yes. So scrambling is kind of the first step to get a roll. So first Lara will do this animation, and if you do it a second time, she will roll. So scramble jumping is first scrambling, then jumping out of it like this. This is in most cases the fastest way of movement. In some cases we have like restricted movement. When Lara's hurt and stuff, then she can't scramble. Or in areas where it's windy, it's usually fastest to just roll. Speaking of areas where Lara is hurt, so after this tumble, we reload checkpoint again to skip her like slowly getting up. And then now we're in kind of a hurt state, so Lara can't scramble. Jump. And yeah, so now we made our way to the first campfire. Small cutscene that we skip. And then Lara like gets the story update that now she suddenly remembers she needs food. And to hunt some game, we need a weapon. Luckily enough, we find a weapon right here. Or well, we see a weapon right here. But we will also do our best to obtain this weapon.
Yeah, this weapon will allow us to do very dirty things.
Yeah, we will pretty much use it for everything but combat. So, in the reboot Tomb Raiders, a very common thing is to use your weapon for clipping. First I will have to shoot the deer down here to get progress the story. But then I will just collect the meat and not go back to the campfire as instructed, but instead I will do such a clip. Do you want to explain how they work, or do you remember? Because usually you run glitchless, right?
Yeah,
Anyways.
you need to face the wall behind you and aim, and then Lara's model kind of embeds inside the wall for a bit, like halfway, and then if you push yourself backwards at the precise time, you can kind of clip through the wall there.
Yeah, it's pretty, like, you kind of have to get used to the timing. It's kind of like, in this game at least, it's very different in the other two games, but in this game, you don't start out with a melee attack. You have instead like a shove. And if you do that while in the in aiming, she kind of does like this weird, I don't know, back step. And during that back step, you have to turn the camera at a somewhat precise like speed. Like you shouldn't just yank the camera, but you also can't be too slow. And if you do it correctly, then yeah, you will exactly kind of backwards clip through small or thin walls and doors like we just saw. I will do something very similar here at the top of this ladder to clip on top of this bunker roof. But you will see that the camera kind of gets a bit weird. So when I turn here, I'm now on top, but the camera, if I go into aim, is like still below the rooftop. And to fix this, I have to jump off this ledge. That kind of forces the camera back to Lara's model. But I obviously still want to stay out of bounds, so I kind of jumped off the ledge and then in midair turned around and landed back on top of the roof. And that way we can skip a pretty long encounter to the right, where we would meet the antagonist of this game. But now we don't have to do that. We can go straight to the next part. You will maybe at some point see that some of the textures don't make too much sense, since we skipped a few triggers here and there. But right now our goal is to collect 50 salvage out of these crates. That will allow us to upgrade our, whatever it is, meat hook right now to a climbing axe. Which is kind of the next story trigger we have to hit. Here we will reload checkpoint, because I'm still in combat, technically, and that prevents me from sitting down at the campfire. Now that we reloaded checkpoint at the checkpoint, I can sit down, I upgrade my climbing axe. And now I'm supposed to use it to, like, turn open this gate. But we can also just not do that by flipping on top of... Okay, interesting. Flipping on top of this wall and then jumping to the roof to our right, which bypasses this gate. And like the other guy you saw there, Whitman, he's one of the crew members that got shipwrecked with us. He is kind of left behind now, but he will just join us here in the next cutscene, because yes, good stuff.
Yeah, last few minutes were really filled with speedrun stuff. We need to hold back a bit.
Yeah. Which is pretty good, because now, as you can see, Lara's again in somewhat of a predicament. So she got captured again. And we also kind of lost our bow. And you can kind of tell movement is a bit restricted, and there are some bad guys here. So this obviously has to be done very stealthily, by which I mean she will violently roll into the mud and also up like stone stairs very quietly. So we make our way up this staircase, up these stairs into this hut over there, because obviously that's a very safe spot to hide from all these guys. And we will totally not get immediately spotted by one of them. It's good. Also, bunnies have disappeared. Maybe I can fix the camera in the meantime. Maybe I cannot. Oh, it's turning. They're so far on the left. Okay. QTE. So we got spotted. This is kind of the QT that gives you the pistol, which will be somewhat of our weapon of choice for kind of most of the encounters in this run, especially in early game. Just another QTE. Fast, and then we have the pistol. However, this doesn't really constitute as the tutorial. for the pistol. So for every weapon, you kind of get a tutorial. And the tutorial for the pistol will be after the next small movement section. And this tutorial is pretty infamous because you have like 1 second to headshot both of the guys you're supposed to hit. If not, Lara gets completely drunk and like the aim is nowhere near the reticle. Okay, good. Also,
Nice.
that the flashlight that guy drops has collision, so it's not uncommon that you just hit the flashlight instead of the second guy there, which is also always fun. Here, by weapon toggling, I get a weird upwards boost, but the game tries to pull me back in bounds or down that slope, so I constantly had to move backwards until I kind of got free from that pull. And that allows me to skip having to go through that building behind me, which would have triggered another like QTE because it would get set on fire and blah blah. Some more guys. Take a bit of ammo here and make my way up the ladder.
Yeah, as you can see, Lara is slowly starting to get on her killing spree.
Yeah, so this is kind of supposed to be like the first, obviously like the origin story of the new Lara. And she starts out like very, I don't know, wouldn't call it pacifist, but very hesitant when it comes to firearms and stuff like that. But doesn't last too long, that state. And then in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, she's kind of a full-fledged assassin. So. These two guys you actually want to kill with the noisy pistol instead of the silent bow to not trigger an alarm, which totally makes sense. Here we did another scramble jump, and since the scramble kind of gives you a few, or like a fraction of a second where you can hover in midair, we can extend that jump to cross that gap. Otherwise you would have to go by the bridge, which would trigger another encounter and stuff that we don't want. What we also don't want is to get a crash here, but it's somewhat not unnormal to get a crash here, even in casual playthroughs. So if it happens, it happens. And it happens, of course it happens. So don't worry about the inexistence of a stream right now. I will just... on.
Absolute classic.
Yes.
And you think that this might be the last crash? No, it can technically crash again,
yes.
But let's not.
We've had it crash multiple times in a row. Also trying to find bunnies again, but I have to also find the progress in this game again. So yeah, maybe it crashes again. But surely it wouldn't. See? So yeah, that's like... It's not related to any of the glitches that we do. People get this in like glitchless and casual playthroughs. So yeah, oh damn. Sorry Hecky, kind of intercepted you there. Classic. Yeah, now we meet the next member of our crew. It's Roth. He's, well, he used to be the captain of the ship. Now there is no longer a ship, and he's no longer a captain. And he's mainly injured, but he's also kind of the kind of your mentor slash father figure in this game. So he's like super duper important, which is why we immediately leave him behind. And after that, like small break, I guess, where not too much was happening except for us running away from the evil Russians. Soon we will start with the good stuff.
The very good stuff, allegedly.
Yes, the reason why this is the superior Tomb Raider run. Yeah, so we'll get a checkpoint here, and then we will do our first, what we call skywalk. And if everything goes well, then it should look like this.
Yeah, you're basically jumping on a slope like this, and then tap down, and you're able to pivot Lara around, up, down, left, right. And you need to be very careful with how you are gaining height and losing it, because you want to arrive at a specific place. And sometimes, yeah, she's flying really fast, so you have to practice a lot, and you have to practice each skywalk differently
No.
because yeah, some of them are really wild.
Yeah, it's weird because like you think you learn one and then you can just copy paste what you do to the others, but it's actually like every single one requires like different inputs and setups. It's quite the task to learn all of them, but once you get them, it's like kind of best thing, like feeling wise. It's so much fun, especially when you die or don't get one. Yeah, this one is really tricky. Like because when you initiate the skywalk, you have to kind of do a turnaround animation, and during that, Lara loses a bit of height. And here you're somewhat close to the ground, so if you don't get the skywalk immediately, it can happen that you drop down like I did, which is obviously undesirable, but now I made it. And this skips having to go into the wolf's den, getting the radio, getting back to Roth, obtaining like some other upgrade that allows you to use your climbing axe in stone walls, and blah blah blah. Luckily, we still get that ability because this game has quite a few failsafes where they just give you equipment that you may have skipped accidentally. Except that we don't skip it accidentally. And with that, we now make our way into the next area, which is kind of a stealth segment. So you're by yourself against, like, and have to infiltrate this enemy base. So we will do that extremely stealthily and not get spotted at all. Looks good to me.
Yeah, I was about to say that was pretty stealthy.
Yes.
It's worth noting that you can die here, actually, if you
very
are
much so, yes.
if you're getting shot in a very unlucky ways.
But obviously that would never happen in a marathon run. Now that we made it inside the space, we have to kind of get out again. So our goal is to reach a radio tower on the other side of this bunker, to call for Mayday and kind of get off this island. But yeah, it might be a while until we get. Nice shot. So here I'll try to clip through this. I said I'd try to clip through this door. Thank you. Luckily above this door there is like no collision, so we can just jump across it and not have to clip through it. You're supposed to usually like blow up this place, and then there would be a guy here stuck in debris, and you take his assault rifle or submachine gun, but if you skip it like this, then the submachine gun just lays there, which is very kind of it. And then you get ambushed. That guy slides around very funnily. So this is supposed to be the tutorial for the SMG, but you can just switch to the more accurate pistol and do it that way. And here we kind of flip through this door again to skip having to kill all the other guys. You want to checkpoint reset here to get more experience, because that makes sense.
And now time for the good stuff. Oh wait.
Well,
yeah, there is a gap. And it's between
allegedly.
this yeah, between the shelf and a barrel. And you can push yourself in between them, and then game starts to go really weird and wild, and it can push you in many directions, and one of them leads outside to where we need to be. But it can also push you into the section where you would normally go, where you very slowly go along pipes. So this is why it's a pipe skip. And yeah, sometimes
like,
it works like halfway, sometimes it pushes you all the way up.
Yeah, going normally through the pipes is like a very slow walking segment where it like costs 40 seconds to just go through there. So even getting it on like second or third try usually is preferable to just taking the time loss. Here I want to go over this bridge to stay out of bounds on the right side. Otherwise you would have to go through like quite the gauntlet of enemies. However, we don't really get a checkpoint, and there is a pretty finicky jump coming up, so hopefully we don't get screwed. I mean, we get a checkpoint here, but it would obviously place us back in bounds, which is not where we want to go. But no worries, we got it. Now we just scale this mountaintop. There is our radio tower I was talking about. And now we will climb it. We'll climb it very slowly.
Now that's my kind of gameplay.
Very slowly. But this is active climbing. I have to hold W to accomplish this. And that's all you have to do.
Are you holding it very actively?
I'm focusing so much on holding down the W key. It's insane. Otherwise it wouldn't go this fast. So yeah, they actually just like have you hold W for a minute straight here. Which is very good. So before I went over the bridge, you may have seen me sit down at a campfire and do some stuff. So what I did there is I had 2 skill points to spend. I spent them on pain tolerance, which just allows me to sponge up some more hits, which is not required but nice to have. But more importantly, the other skill point I used to obtain dirty tricks, literally, which is a skill that allows you to throw sand after a scramble, which is supposed to like blind enemies and stuff like that, which is exactly not what we will use it for. We will use it for way more important things later on in the run. So just keep it in the back of your mind that we got dirty tricks, literally, and we will also use them. Also, this jump is very safe and makes a lot of sense. Yes. And we're at the top. Now we just have to tune the radio, call for Mayday, and then we're done. Right? Right.
Right.
I mean, we still have to get down, of course, but then there should be a plane somewhere to get us off this island. Luckily, they don't make you climb down again by holding S or something, so yeah, you can just take the zip line. We need to get past this gate to get to the airplane, so the only logical thing to do is to blow up these canisters, because, yes. Luckily, there's a fire striker right here. So, yeah, let's do that. That sounds very reasonable. As long as it gets us to our plane. And we pick up some ammo while we're waiting for the explosion. We're doing some interesting stretches with our arm, and then we meet the airplane. And there goes the airplane. Unlucky. But at least it introduces us to what is kind of a staple of the reboot games, are these like sliding escape dramatic segments where you get roughened up a bit. They're mainly infamous for the death animations you can get.
And for the fact that sometimes they don't work correctly.
Well, yes. But yeah, I'll try to not show off the death animations for once. Another checkpoint reset here, so we can skip having to watch Lara slowly get up from that traumatic experience. There's the pilot, so now we have to rescue him. I'm sure that will go well at least. So we'll carefully make our way across this this village and not do anything reckless. Looks good to me so far.
Yeah, this is very safe.
Mm-hmm. And then we kind of don't want to go there, but we want to go there, and then we want to go up there. I said we want to go up. Nope, 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 not that
yeah,
up. This
is like almost a double skywalk, right?
Yeah, this one is super dumb because, like, as I said earlier, you kind of drop a bit when initiating a skywalk, and there is like a death plane right underneath us here. But the goal would be... Please get up, Lara. Lara, don't do this to me. He's not turning around. Oh, there we go. So, we first want to take a breather here, which might not happen because somehow Yeah, I got kicked out of it again. That's why you want to interrupt your first skywalk there. Otherwise, the camera doesn't follow you, and things like that can happen. Alright, let's try that again.
Yeah, and that dude with the grenades definitely is not helping,
There we
because
go.
if you take too long, they
Yeah,
start
he can hit
exploding
you.
near you.
He can definitely hit you. And then you initiate a second skywalk up here. And this one we want to ride around the next corner to skip the trap trigger that would usually make Lara like dangling from the tree while she gets charged. Don't worry about the wall here. So with that all out of the way, we somehow also skipped rope arrows, which are actually a pretty important upgrade. And in fact, we actually need them to get past this very segment we're on right here, because at the end we're blocked by a door that you can only open with rope arrows. But as it turns out, by crossing that river, there is a failsafe that just gives you the rope arrows. So now, despite skipping the rope arrows, 10 seconds later, we have the rope arrows, which is working out just fine for us. And with that, we now are at the top of the mountain village. We meet Roth again, and then we leave Roth again. And then we do this skywalk, or we try to at least.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's totally consistent. And it totally saves a whopping like 20 seconds or something. I will make this, okay? That's an interesting catapult. Oh, this does not look good. Yeah, okay. I almost made it, but that's fine. We'll just try again. Hello, Hanky. Yeah, so the issue is you have to... Well, first of all, you have to get the skywalk. That would be nice. You have to cross this pretty large gap by building up enough speed. And then, while you're sliding around the corner on the other side, if you're slightly off, like you lose the skywalk and just drop down like I did earlier. Okay, that looks good so far.
Yeah, you're basically carrying skywalk from one mountain to another.
Why did she not?
Oh
This
my
is
god.
totally worth it, by the way. Toxic, why am I doing this?
Because
I
skywalks are
agree.
fun.
That's true, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Especially the ones that are worth it. Calm down, Laura. It's not that bad. Oh wow, I made it. That's crazy. So yeah, that did not save anything at this point. Not even close to. But it's okay. You get the gist of it. And there are two guys here that we kind of want to get rid of. Otherwise they might shoot me down while climbing this wall you can see up there, where we'll do our next skywalk. This one slightly more important, as it allows us to hopefully quickly cross the waterfall and gap that is behind it, to reach the parachute you can see there, where we suspect the pilot is of the airplane that kind of didn't make it. It was supposed to rescue us, so with this skywalk we skip a somewhat long segment where we would use the rope arrow to create zip lines that we could go across, and here we will now use dirty tricks. And as you may be able to tell, Lara is kind of stuck in a sliding animation. Also, more bunnies. So if you dirty tricks at the start of a walkie-talkie segment, you get her stuck in this sliding animation, and that's actually faster than walking while receiving or talking in the walkie-talkie, so it saves a bit of time with this. But that's not the main use of dirty tricks. So that saves a bit of time, but that's not the main reason why we get. More on that later. Also, that's the pilot. I'm sure he's fine. Yeah, that looks good to me. And with that, we're back to being captured.
We're back to the beginning.
Yes, except this time we're hanging the other way around, so it's actually not the beginning. And we don't set ourselves on fire. So clearly much better. We just have to survive this fall. It's all good. So we're now in the monastery, kind of captured by some seemingly not so kind people. Well, we're not quite at the monastery yet, but we're trying to get there. Before that, we will get our fourth and final weapon, which is the shotgun, which will become our weapon of choice for most encounters. Because it does a lot of damage up close. But not only that, it is also required to complete the run, because there are some barriers that you need the shotgun to destroy them. And some of them are not skippable otherwise. So without the shotgun, we kind of die there.
Yeah, we are gonna grab the shotgun, but we're not gonna proceed further with it. We're gonna go back a few steps.
I hope this thing still works.
Also, it's a magical shotgun, it can turn invisible. And we turn around. Because there is like this thing here where we can shove and kind of scale that side of the mountain and jump around an invisible wall. So now we're out of bounds on the other side. And we will make our way up, like across the top of the level, kind of. Trying to hit some loading triggers here. Good. Don't mind that guy in the background there. He's having a good time. And now we're making our way to the monastery. You can see it coming up right there. Just need to find a way inside. We found a way inside. And now
time for puzzles, yes.
Nice, yes. Now time for intense puzzling. So you have 2 windows you can open, and you have rope arrows, and that's the puzzle. I mean, you also have a pendulum and some pillars you have to destroy because reasons, but wait. See, I almost didn't make the puzzle.
But yeah, I think we know where the end level trigger is, but to actually trigger it, we need to complete this puzzle and the upcoming fight to get there.
So the LLN trigger can only be reached by having that big bell you maybe you saw there in the middle of the room crash through the floor. That's like kind of what you do with the puzzle. And to get to the next part of the puzzle, we have to get past this encounter. I don't want to shove him, but okay. What did I get? Nice, shove killed him. Okay then. Yeah, so now we're at the... Okay, maybe the checkpoint was fake, I guess. Cool. This game makes a lot of sense.
Also potential audio warning.
Don't even know if it still is in place now. But it should be. I think otherwise we also reload check. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so once the bell crashes through the floor, usually audio balancing does not work anymore. But now I don't know because of the extra checkpoint reload. We'll see. Either way, it's a learning experience. Never mind. Enjoy. And we're back to normal. So these are the barriers I was talking about. On these sliding segments from here on out, there are these barriers that if you don't destroy them with a shotgun, you just die. It's not good. So that's what we also need a shotgun for.
I'll catch up to you when we can go in together.
And now we make our way to Shantytown, which is kind of a not very fun part. Well, it is fun if it goes well, but it's very
Which it
not
doesn't.
fun. Yeah. Good aim. Which allows me to fire more shots, which is what this marathon is all about. So obviously that was on purpose. So as you can see, especially for non-armored enemies, the shotgun is like basically one shot for all of them. Once enemies are armored, they're still two shot. So like there is no real reason not to use the shotgun from mid to late game onwards. So using other weaponry will be very sparse. Another kind of escape sequence, so here we just need to get rid of these guys, whatever he was doing, I don't know. Because here we will just wade through this river a bit. They might otherwise shoot us and kill us if we don't get rid of them.
Yeah, I think if you leave like one of them, you might get away with it, but
yeah,
might.
might. 2 is definitely very risky. It has been done, but not something you want to really try. Since it, like, with a shotgun, there's quick, like, they're dead so quickly, it doesn't really lose much time. And yeah, more fun water slides. Everyone loves them. Especially if the shotgun works. Thank you. And then we do more fun air rides. And then we play PUBG or something. I don't know how this works. I never played the game. So this segment here can be deceptively difficult because the collision of these trees make no sense, and some of them one-shot you no matter what health you're at, and others, like, you can just glide through. So, good stuff. And yes, this is a successful crossing, so don't worry about it. This makes us end up in Shantytown, where we will do the biggest skip in the run. But also probably the most difficult one-ish, kind of. Definitely the one that costs the most time if you fail it. But first we will do something similar. Maybe you remember at the start of the run, I clipped on top of a bunker and had to jump off the ledge to kind of make the camera work again. I do something similar here, where I use this ledge there with the step-up animation. I made the camera snap back to Lara, so now I can proceed. And that also skipped having to get the fire arrows from the helicopter in the background, which would be quite a detour because it involves a lot of slow crawling and stuff like that, and we don't want that. We just jump in here and trigger this fight, where I will have to checkpoint reload to get full mobility again. I'm kind of in a restricted state again since Lara was hurt. She couldn't scramble, but we need to scramble to skip stuff. Stuff like this huge gate behind us. Even though the enemies assure us that there is no way for us to go, we just go through the gate, which is helpful.
And now time for the good part.
Well, we'll see about that. So yeah, this hopefully will be Shantytown skip. It skips 2.5 levels. It's kind of like a multi-step skip. So first you want to clip on top of this railing with just a normal weapon clip. Then you want to go around like this collision here. Like there's not... Oh god, Lara, please. Not much to say here. We do it again, this weird shoving thing that we also did at the monastery. And then here we get a skywalk. There are some nifty death planes here, but we should be able to avoid them. And then get on top of the waterfall. And that's already like the major part of the skip done, but the most deceptive one and the one that usually kills it is this part, where we want to scale up this rock, and now we have to scale up an invisible rock pretty much. And there are some funny death triggers here, but this should be good because once we pop out here at the top, we can slowly make our way forwards because I'm still getting pulled back. And then once we're here, we can just go into this cave and back out to get a checkpoint and reload checkpoint, and we skipped 2.5 levels. So this is where we would have come out if we had taken the intended route, which would take us through the Solari Fortress and the Mountain Forest. But now we don't go there. Which is
very nice.
Yes. And here you see the real use for dirty tricks. So while in that sliding animation, we airwalk. Now the sliding animation only lasts as long as the walkie-talkie conversations. In this case, that sliding or that airwalk didn't really accomplish anything. Like, it doesn't save any time since you have to wait for the gondola anyways. But it was kind of a preview of what is to come, because once we take this gondola on the next loading screen, you will see me switch VSync on to cap my frame rate at 60 FPS. Since fall damage in this game is somewhat reliant or like dependent on your frame rate, and with VSync on it allows us to survive the next fall, and you will see that fall is quite high. Because
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
And as Caddy said, it lasts for as long as walkie-talkie lasts. So it depends on the language that you're using, if I recall correctly.
Correct. So that was VSync on. Menu always stutters after this, don't worry about it. And during this loading screen, I will now initiate dirty tricks, because as it happens at the start, we immediately go into a walkie-talkie, which allows us to get a skywalk, an airwalk, and immediately leave the gondola to kind of go our own way. So we have a bit of time to work here with. Actually, the conversation lasts a bit longer than what we technically need to, so we kind of have to take a bit of a detour to land on top of this pylon, sorry. So you will see me take like a right here, and then we should survive this fall. And drop down here, cushioning our fall by taking a small bump there on our way down, and that skips the gondola. I disable VSync again, so I'm at my normal frame rate, and now we're on this kind of airship structure thingy with some bad guys that we try to skip by jumping around this fence onto this lower level, and then we want to go underneath this pipe. So this is kind of supposed to multi-stage fight, and after each fight, like, the level is supposed to rotate, but if you like skip underneath and grab the final hole there, the game considers that you completed the entire thing already. Which obviously is a lot faster than actually going through the entire fight, especially since this is like getting to late game territory, and we obviously have not upgraded anything. So fights can get very dangerous at this point. But yeah, that's that part. Now we're getting to the beach. But before we get to the beach, we will grab a campfire at the research base, which is actually a level that is supposed to come after the beach. So we will, as you might expect, do another skip here. That, as you might also expect, involves a skywalk. This one is very interesting because you will see that Lara will turn invisible halfway through, which makes this probably the most difficult one to learn, I want to say. And it totally makes, especially makes sense if you would get the skywalk correctly.
Yeah, and depending on where you end up at the end, you will also have to load or not load the next area.
Correct. And to make things worse, there are some cool holes in the level collision here that you don't see. So the textures and the collision don't match up. So you will see Lara turn invisible now. Now I have to use just a oh my god, this is way too fast. Okay, that looks good. So we ended up on top of the level here, which is actually the preferable outcome. Because now to load the level behind us, which is actually where we want to go, we just have to jump off this ledge and back on. Otherwise, if you don't end up on top of this level, you have to kind of halfway clip through the gate in the bunker underneath us, and that's like not very fun to do. And take quite a while, so that went pretty well. And now we're already inside the research base, and we will just grab the campfire here, which will then allow us to fast travel here later on. So this game has fast travel. We didn't really use it so far because we just like made our way progressively forward. But now we have this campfire, we can fast travel to the shipwreck beach. Luckily, we get the campfire at the beach despite never going here, just by like getting the checkpoint where we drop down the waterfall. And we go here to collect an upgrade for our bow, which will allow us to shoot rope arrows into stone walls to make zip lines. And we need that to complete the final level. Now, technically, we could skip this. There are like 4 instances where we need this upgrade, and there are technically possible skips for each one of those instances. But let's say that at least half of them are not very doable by humans. So since I'm human, I will not go for them, and instead still get the bow upgrade. You saw me there skywalking along the ship to end up on the other dock and shoot down this like thing, which is actually the upgrade that we needed, which teleported me to the other side of the ship. It all makes sense. I jumped through the gap there between the enemies so that the guy with the machine gun shoots the pole instead of me, because if you're on a zipline and take damage, you immediately drop down, which obviously would not be very good in this case. It's kind of a bit of a manipulation there. And then once we're on this campfire, with the item we now get our bow upgrade.
Oh, it's the Jonah character.
One of them. Yeah, you saw Jonah there for like 1 second. He's actually the only recurring character in the reboot Tomb Raiders apart from Lara. Allegedly. But he looks different in every single game. And he's not annoying at all. Here's a puzzle. You solve it by jumping against the wall. This guy we can kind of ignore, hopefully. Thank you. And then we'll try to flip up this ledge here. Again, the game will try to pull us back down. Actually, I will make a safety save here.
Because you can accidentally trigger the fight.
Exactly, yes. And that also triggers a checkpoint. But that looks good. Again, so there is supposed to be a fight here, so this texture doesn't make a lot of sense. And now we make our way to the end of this level. So we will go back down to the beach. This all makes sense for story reasons that I don't understand. And once we're at the beach, we can take our final trip to the inland, where we will kind of storm the enemy fortress by ourselves, because we're Lara Croft or something. So since you're obviously all interested in the story so much, turns out that this island is kind of inhabited by an ancient cult that worships a sun, queen, goddess person deity who controls the weather, which is the reason why nobody can leave this island. And they kind of kidnapped our friend Samantha, or Sam, to make her the new vessel for that sun, goddess, queen, deity person. And we kind of don't want that to happen, so we will hopefully stop them from doing it. Also, don't mind the bunnies. Monka toss.
But yeah, going for Sam is literally our only reason right now. Technically, we could leave already.
Yes, of course.
Because Lara tells her comrades to wait for her and don't go with her. So they could leave as well. But
Oh well.
Whenever you're ready to go.
I want to stress at this point that the black bunny is the female and the gray bunny is the male. So that behavior makes even more sense from that point of view.
But you should
Anyways, so actually the cutscene after this one, for reasons unknown, is one of the very few cutscenes you can't skip. Which actually makes for a nice break when grinding runs, because this is like the last break you really get before the final onslaught of skips and fights. But yeah, for other reasons it's not very cool that we can't skip this. The main reason being that Jonah gets to be cringe without us interrupting him.
No. I'll need you and Reyes to guard the main.
But yeah, basically Lara tells them she's going in alone because reasons. And yeah, that's what we will do.
yeah, as you can see, within 1 hour, Lara became from a scared girl who never held in a gun before to an absolute assassin.
And it only gets worse from here. So yeah, here you will see the first instance of us using our bow to create a zipline. That's what we got the upgrade for. The second one coming up right afterwards. And there wasn't too much climbing in this run, but trust me, there will be at the end of it, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, it can backstab you really badly
Yeah.
when you trust it the most.
Here is the only application of fire arrows for this run, where we can actually light this debris a bit early, so it can already burn down. Then I shoot my pistols to alert this guy, which actually closes the gate to the right, which locks out 2 more enemies that would otherwise charge into the room, if you approach it normally. So they kind of get duked. And now there is a stealth segment here. Usually rolls are considered to be or noisy, so they would alert enemies. But for some reason, if you just mash rolls the first time you enter that room, they will not spot you. But if you reload checkpoint, for example, a roll will instantly alert them. So that's something. And now we just make our way slowly past these enemies. And make our way to a sizable encounter. But first, we let them kind of destroy their own fortress. Some more ammo here for our shotgun. Very welcome. Then here, so these are kind of the standard enemies we'll face from now on, are these samurai guys. They're armored on head, torso, and legs. So the best way to get rid of them is to actually shoot the torso twice, since it's a bigger area than the head, so you can't really headshot them. So that will be the default thing we will do. Here you can very clearly see Sam on the other side. Yes. And then we make our way to the what we call a big fight.
Everyone's favorite fight.
Of course. Especially when you're on PB pace, because it is extremely consistent. It consists of 3 phases. The first one, you kind of just wait until the melee guys jump over the gap, and then you have to kill 4 of them. So these guys just shoot at us for a bit, then they run away, and the melee guys start to cross the gap. Then we camp here for a bit and kill them. There are also these explosive barrels you can see in the background there. Okay, good, nice miss. If you explode the barrels while they're standing next to them, they die instantly, so that's also preferable. Where are they? Can you make your way over here? Thank you. And not dodge something 5 meters away. There we go. So that's phase 1. Phase 2, we start out over here, restock on some ammo, wait for that archer to make his way down the slope, then jump over so we can shoot him in the back and hopefully not miss every shot. Then shoot this archer if we wouldn't get interrupted. Like, oh my god, nice triple attack.
Yeah, the hardest part is to kill archers while getting smacked from all the sides.
Yeah. So, okay, no need to do that. Oh my. Guy just slid like all the way down the ramp. Okay, I think I hit him. No, I did not hit him. Okay, now I hit him. But now I'm also dead, so that's not good. What a great encounter. At least Cookie is having a good time. Okay, next attempt. That's better. Okay, he's very resilient today. Okay, that's actually better. Now I just need to get rid of this guy. And now I will lure the melee guys over here. Because fortunately there is a trap that I can use against them. Blow up the tower. Wait for these guys to get over here. I don't think I can get both of them. I can, okay. That gives me a checkpoint, which I can reload then to enter the final phase. Where we will basically take our shotgun and kind of camp the corner here. If we shoot these guys while they're in midair, they're one shot sometimes. There should be 2 more. Okay, that guy was also not one shot. This one was. Luckily there is still a explosive barrel there that we can use. That should be all of the archers. And then there are 3 more guys dropping down here. 1, 2, 3. That's big fight with like the worst second phase ever. It's gonna open up this part. So this leads us to the somewhat final puzzle-ish room.
That we're definitely gonna do, right? Please.
Yes. I mean, we will do a puzzle. But maybe not that one. Because we need an upgrade that we don't have. So we need to solve our own puzzle of how to get past this room without the upgrade.
Yeah, we basically want to embed ourselves between the door and the column and drop back, and rather drop down a bit, go around without dropping into the void, squeeze ourselves up beneath the floor, and then try to roll out of that area, which can be quite tricky because Lara disappears from the view, becomes invisible, and she can get stuck there, and you can be there for like, not a minute, but a very long time. You need to know where you're rolling.
Exactly. But that went pretty well, I would say. And now we're just making our way to the final campfire, which is like the point of no return. There we go. So now we just open this gate, cross this bridge, And then it's kind of the final jumping puzzle-ish and climbing puzzle mainly to get to the final boss that we now see for the first time. Hope you liked him.
Yeah, if you were waiting for some juicy climbing sections, now is your time to tune in.
Yeah. One thing to say about these zip lines is you were supposed to have an accessory that allows us to like quickly slide alongside them, but we skipped that when we did the skywalk to the research base. So you would usually go back to your original ship that got kind of destroyed and retrieve the upgrade there, but turns out you can also complete the game without doing that. What is this bow? I'm so sorry, Robbie. I found it, I had to use it. But don't worry, I explained your criminal activity. I mean, what? Epic Dude Guy being the guy who found all the skips that would technically be possible.
One day they will be.
Here I have to slowly drop down. If you just hold forward while like slowly climbing that zipline, you actually overshoot the beam there, which... yeah, that makes sense. You're slower than you're supposed to be, so you go further than if you were faster. Things.
We're not leaving without you. We'll be waiting.
And yeah, now the climbing kind of starts, but not really yet. Like this is a appetizer, if you will. If things go well, then it looks easy. But it's actually pretty stupid. Here's the longest climb. Sorry, go ahead.
The walls that you are connecting to sometimes are not what they actually see.
Yeah, and especially your inputs are not always what you want them to be. So you can hold forward and jump, and she just like jumps to the right. It's a lot of fun. And totally not something that can kill your run at the very end.
Okay, finally, we made it.
Of course. Just some basic climbing now. Ooh, what are you doing? Okay. And then there's supposed to be this final gauntlet where you have to run counterclockwise around this arena to get to the final boss. But we can also just jump clockwise to cross the bridge and skip all the enemies and bosses on it and enter the final QTE. So Heki, you can get ready on time, which will be when Matthias here takes the plunge after we shoot him a few times with our signature dual pistols that we will get for the last 5 seconds of the game and then never use again afterwards.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider things. So that should be time.
That was underestimate.
That's surprising. That was fun. That's 2013 for you. Really fun once you learn how to skywalk, because skywalks are the best part of this run, even though they sometimes looked a bit rough in this particular run. But don't let that distract you from the fact that this is a fun run. and that this is a fun marathon that I hope all of you will continue to enjoy. Thank you very much, Toxic, for keeping me sane.
You're welcome.
And yeah, enjoy the rest of the marathon and have a nice rest of the day.